Network. Literally, if I had to asterisk star one of the tips, it would be this one. If you are not networking your junior and senior year of college, I don't know what you're doing. Your degree is a tool, but it is not the holy grail that is going to open doors for you. I say that as someone who has achieved, and I don't like this, and I'm not saying this as like a braggadocious moment, but just understand context of someone who did not have a job lined up, out of college, who now makes a six-figure income. Networking is going to be your best friend. It's who you know and how those people can help leverage you into the industries that you are most interested in getting into after graduation. And really, you learn a lot more about what you like after you graduate.
So, hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Mogul in the making. Jay, and we are back with another video. I asked my Instagram, all 5 of you, what were some thoughts and ideas for topics that you wanted me to cover, and something that was consistent was, hey Jasmine, talk to us about life after college and update us on what's been going on and maybe some tips and tricks. So I've written down some on my phone that I'm gonna look forward to sharing with you all, and don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and let's get right into it. It's been almost 2 years since I've graduated from school. For those of you who do not know, I went to the University of Oklahoma, graduated spring 2019. And I really wish I would have watched a video like this in preparing myself for what life was going to be like right after graduation, and probably before, but I
wanted to be surprised and dazzled.
Don't ever dazzle in life, please don't. But I went the more surprise route. But after graduation, I moved back home, which was the first time in a long time I've actually living home with my family, because for the majority of my college experience, I had work during the summer in various states. And so I didn't really go home that much except for like holidays and like 3 or 4 weeks of the summer. So that already was a lot, knowing that I wasn't doing a round trip ticket back home. But for one of my tips, this is going to be really, really important to star, because I've got a lot of really good ideas as to why staying home might be the move. But yeah, I stayed back in Oklahoma for about a month after graduation. I was just trying to, seal everything up, move everything to storage, because I lived in an apartment, and so I didn't really want to send all that stuff back because I didn't really have a place to put it, because I've got siblings and they moved into my room, and so there really wasn't a space for me to go. However, I ended up moving in with my aunt. But before we go to the moving back part, with my aunt, I did line up some work in Michigan and other places. So I was doing that. And something that was on my mind was like, yo, I don't have a job. I don't have a job lined up. It's gonna be really interesting and weird when all of my friends are going back to school in the fall, and I'm not getting the course catalog. I'm not getting my schedule. So a lot of stress and fear, to be quite frank, was happening in my mind, because here I am, a smart person who's done some cool things, I think, in the context of my college experience, not knowing what my future looks like or how I'm going to use what I have learned, i.e. translate my degree into a career. Another good bit, what, you know the word I'm trying to say, to the tips and tricks that I'm going to give later on. I don't know why I keep on saying tricks, they're just tips. But I had no plans career-wise for what I was gonna do with my degree. Yeah, I had no job lined up, and I was kinda
freaking out.
But I just kept working in the summer, hoping that things were going to pull through. Now, for my fellow Virgos in the chat, which I am, of course, me being carefree and laissez-faire is not really in my nature. So even though I was being hopeful about my situation, I definitely was still planning, for what different strategies could be for making sure that I had an income or was making money of some sort. And that's going to be something else that I talk about in my tips for how to navigate post-college life. But fast forward, I moved back home. I'm staying with my aunt, two very similar but contrasting personalities. We're both very headstrong people. And so living there, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I went from having my own place and, you know, being in charge of my own living expenses in terms of rent, paying utilities, paying for my groceries, which I still was doing. I was still paying my groceries, and my aunt definitely still charged me money to stay in a room, but it was a lot different. So for 8 months, I lived with my aunt. By, you know, the grace of God and just circumstance, I ended up getting a job that started in October with the Bay Area Urban Debate League, which is a nonprofit organization that helps develop school research and advocacy skills for Bay Area youth. And so that was really awesome because for those of you who do not know by now, my background is in argumentation and research. I did I've been doing debate for almost a decade now, and so this was something that I was really set up to do and to do well. So I got that job that began in October, and on top of that, because of my networking skills as well as just what the accolades and things that I accomplished in college debate, I received some work from the University of Southern California as a assistant coach. And so I was an independent contractor doing that. So I had finally some income coming in, and that was really awesome. And I was living my life. I was living in a city that I was used to, i.e. that I would come visit my aunt because she lives in the Bay Area, but I wasn't used to at the level of being an adult. And that's something that is really wild to me, is that there's a difference between being an adult who's in college and being an adult where college is not something that like you're doing anymore, because you have to get to know your settings, get to know the environment, and figure out who you are as a person. And that was very, very difficult for me because one, I don't have a license and I didn't have a car. So I was really dependent on either public transportation, which TLDR I sucked at, but also to my aunt driving me around, but she had her own job, and this was before the pandemic hit. But I was really restrained by my own limitations and getting to know areas, and I'm not the best at making friends. I don't know why I'm telling all this is not, you know, a therapy session, but I'm not the best at making friends or like going out and being social. Even though I did go out sometimes, and this is kind of as I was getting to know my coworkers some more, which was really fun, and we have some stories that will never be story times on this here YouTube because, dignity. But yeah, for those 8 months of living with my aunt, I would just work, I would save, I would work, I would save, because my aunt was only charging me, what, $500 a month to stay with her, and I was making well above that. And so on top of paying my student loans, I would save that money, buy my own groceries, anything else that I, you know, wanted to use my money for, I would. I went out of the country for the first time in my life to Thailand with one of my good friends now, which was a really awesome time. I have a video sharing that experience on my channel. And I went, you know, to some girls' trips. And it was a good time, and I was starting to get used to not being in college. Then 2020 rolls around, and we all know what happened in 2020. She-Rona, she came, she conquered, she did that. The pandemic hit, and life very much so shifted, stuck indoors. I had to navigate and shift from being someone who traveled a lot for my jobs, both for the nonprofit as well as for USC. I was on a plane at least twice a month, going to tournaments, helping students, you know, get into hotels, organizing meals, helping coach debate. All of that stuff was what my job included, and I was used to traveling. That was like my lifestyle, and COVID very much so reshaped that. So things turned digital. I started getting really antsy, and I think as everyone did, you're stuck in the household with the same people over and over and over again. Days are starting to feel the same. And so my aunt and I came to an agreement that it was time for me to finally get my own place. And the deadline was to find a place by June. And so that really revved up my savings. Any kind of superfluous spending that I was doing before, oh honey, I live in California, so if you know the vibes. It ain't cheap. So I was definitely ramping up my savings even more so. And then I moved out of my aunt's in June and transitioned to living with my grandparents for the month of July, which, y'all, pro tip, it is okay to be an adult living with your family members. But I moved into my grandparents for a month because all of our jobs were virtual. I didn't have to live in the Bay Area, and I'm from Sacramento, so I wasn't gonna pay that Bay Area tax for staying in an apartment. And I just started doing apartment, hunts, and I wish I would have filmed that for y'all, because there are a lot of experiences that I had with that, both in the racial profiling arena and also in just the different apartments that were available and people making assumptions about, what a 22-year-old could or could not afford, which was none of their business. If I'm searching the apartment, let me search it. But yeah, was searching apartments for a month, found something which ended up being this lovely apartment here. I've got an apartment tour already on my channel, empty one. I might do a furnished one, but to be honest, y'all, I'm a functional kind of person. So my apartment's not really like that pretty in terms of decor, but my next home will be, and that's a whole other video for a whole other day, because I've got a lot of exciting things to announce when the time is right. But yeah, I finally committed to an apartment, and I'm definitely skipping some things. Wait, what's up? Moved into an apartment. Awesome, I'm the first person to live here. Something that I'm forgetting to say is that if we were to reverse the clock back in May, I started a business. I launched Debate Boutique, which is a consulting business, argumentation, and research consultation business that works with high school and college students. Because I've been in debate for almost 10 years now, it made a lot of sense to take the skills that I've been growing and developing that may not be in my degree, which is in political science route, but also very much so are, and to utilize that for making my own money, not always relying on other people to create the paycheck for me. So I launched that in May, and then in June, I started a network marketing business with Arbonne, the health and wellness brand, the #1 in the world, because I was really starting on this health journey and stuff that was outside of fad diet culture, which if you're in it, I'm with you, but get out. And I've been rocking with that. I saved money from the things that were happening there. I still really haven't touched any of the profit that Debate Boutique has made, because anyone will tell you you are delving into the great beyond with that one, which will be a separate video. We can talk about the entrepreneurial path, and I do have a video of me launching my merchandise business from that, which I did that in October of 2020, which was really awesome. Filmed an entire video promo. But the point of this, right, is that I went from having 0 streams of income in 2019 after graduating to 5 to 6 streams. I sometimes lose count, and we're only building and growing. I live in my own apartment. I live very close to my mother. She's like down the street from me. And I am just navigating and figuring out what is next for me, to learn more about myself, giving myself grace. But that's the life update. That's where I'm at right now. Yeah, there's some details that I'm missing in terms of who I work for, but not important. So now we're gonna get into the tips. So this video is going to be geared towards the person who wasn't or who is in college and is about to make the transition to the adult world, less of the going to get a postgraduate degree. That is a separate video that I can speak to, because for a long time that's where I was at, and I'm not in the path of getting a postgraduate degree for a long time. My path was law school, and I did a lot of the stuff to get, prepared for that, but I chose to take a break and allow myself to really get to know Jasmine outside of the classroom and getting to know Jasmine in the world. But these tips are geared towards that profile. I will create a video for someone who did not go to college and who is, leaving high school, because I have younger siblings and I've been helping them navigate that route. And actually they do, like my siblings do go to school, but some of them are taking breaks. And so it's an entire thing that I've had to learn how to process. And so I will do a video sharing that as well with you all. But let me go to my little tip toys, and I wrote them here, so I'm gonna share them. And these are in no particular order of importance. The first is that you want to understand and accept that you are entering a whole new stage in your life, and thus a lot of new and unexpected things are going to test you. You have spent 4 years, 5 years in a classroom where everything is measured and scheduled for you. Yes, did you have to get a college job? Yes. Did you still have to pay? For some of you had to pay for housing. Yes, so that you did have some real world things that were part of your everyday life, but you did have the kind of anchor of school to keep you honest, to keep you on a path. You knew that on Thursday you were taking this test, and that by taking this test you're getting closer to a degree that we're not even going to ask questions yet about how we're going to use, right? So you're switching from that to the world where, yes, there are different schedules and deadlines, but none of them are as clear as a test or a seminar. And so be okay with that. Be okay and sit in that uncertainty, because it's gonna be a thing, and I'm gonna speak more on that in a second. The second is that you want to, depending on your postgraduate aspirations. So this goes back to if you're someone who is planning to go directly into a postgraduate schooling. But if you are not, then listen, that you want to give yourself time during the 6 months prior to graduation, or even a year prior to graduation. So if you are a junior entering into your summer before your senior year, or if you are starting your senior year, this tip is for you. But you want to self-reflect on where you are and how you feel and how you want to develop. So this goes beyond, I want a degree and I want to have this X job, because to be quite frank with y'all, the jobs that you think that you're going to get end up not being the case, or the job that you think that you want ends up not really being a good fit for you, because everything was based on what the paper said and less of what your actual experiences doing the job, being in that environment are. So reflect, ask yourself, what are and how do you want to feel in the workplace, in your everyday life? What is the lifestyle that you want to live that feels good for you, that's both realistic but also goal oriented? And that's going to be really, really helpful as you listen to a few other of my tips, because you want to make sure that your goals are grounded and based in, your reality, based in your self. The third is network. Literally, if I had to asterisk star one of the tips, it would be this one. If you are not networking your junior and senior year of college, I don't know what you're doing. Your degree is a tool, but it is not the holy grail that is going to open doors for you. I say that as someone who has achieved, and I'm not saying this as like a braggadocious moment, but just understand context of someone who did not have a job lined up, out of college, who now makes a 6-figure income. Networking is going to be your best friend. It's who you know and how those people can help leverage you into the industries that you are most interested in getting into after graduation. And really, you learn a lot more about what you like after you graduate. So networking, most opportunities don't come from a degree. I said that. Put yourself in spaces and rooms of opportunity and like-minded people who want to grow and develop in the same ways as you. If you're not too sure about all the goals that you have in life, one, you're human, that's awesome, that's great, and it's honest. That's okay, but being in spaces where you're like, hey, I wanna go in education, I wanna go in engineering, I wanna go into, marketing, retail, business, etc. Put yourself in different rooms where people down the road can be really excellent resources with you. Number 4, I think, is that you want to update your business profiles. This is both pre and post graduation. These most recent tips that I'm giving y'all is that you want to update your LinkedIn, you want to update your Indeed, you want to develop a resume, go to the career fairs. A lot of the times people are searching for folks to fit different job descriptions that you may not have thought was a job you were going for or even that you were qualified for, but it's how you present yourself on these websites that these recruiters are going to reach out to you about these jobs. And sometimes those situations might have been exactly what you needed to grow. Number 5, if you can, another asterisk star moment. Move back home. Move back home. Move back home and save. Y'all, once again, I'm not gonna share and disclose all the resources that I have in my life, but if I had not moved back home with my aunt, my savings account would not look like how it looks. I would have not been able to move into the apartment that I was able to. And I think a lot of the different ability to travel and go to Thailand and do this lifestyle of, here and then gone would not have been possible if I didn't just stay home. If you are able to, if you're in a situation where your family is able to support that, please do it because you're able to save, but also maybe you're not ready to be responsible for all of the bills and all of the expenses that come with being in charge of a household. Y'all, I wake up every single day and go, wow, if I don't pay my SMUD bill, if I don't pay this Wi-Fi bill, they will cut it off. Thank God I have a job. And so if you're able to and you have that support, please do it. And don't be like, oh, my friends are all in, these apartments or doing all this. That's not your path. That's not your journey. You don't know their finances. A lot of them are capping and are very, 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 very broke. Do not compare yourself, which is another tip that I'll move up here is do not Facebook compare. Do not Facebook compare your lifestyle with other people. A lot of the times people are presenting the highlight reels of their life, are spewing a positivity, don't think negative mindset all the time. And while that's, yes, beautiful to look at, it's exactly that, just beautiful. Focus on your path, focus on what makes you feel good, and focus on your growth. If you do that, you're in the exact spot that you need to be in. The next is sip some humble tea. Sip some humble tea and do the experience work. Do the work that might not be in line with your degree or where you think you deserve to be. Honestly and truly, a lot of recruiters and a lot of jobs are looking at you kind of like laughing when you're like, I'm more, qualified for a job. But when they start asking you, what is your experience in working in these fields, which how could you have it? You were working or you were in school. You don't have it. Build that experience. Be okay to get your hands dirty, to do work that you don't think you're qualified for. Y'all, I am not above becoming a barista. Honestly, if I had the time and space for it, I would do a few more of, not menial, to think that's a reductive phrase, but of more honest work to build my profile, to meet more people. Once again, y'all, it's about the rooms and spaces you put yourself in and the experience you give yourself to leverage your income, build your salary, build your point, right? So that you're able to have more options and opportunities in the future. Don't think of your job as just, this is my career. Think of the jobs that you're doing as, what are they leveraging in other aspects of my life so that I can progress further? Think that way and everything is going to be awesome. Oh, well. relatively. It's okay to, the next tip, I've stopped numbering things, yo, I'm sorry, but it's okay to not know what you want. Take this time to explore different career paths, hobbies, places, and just have fun. You are developing as a person. At 22, we do not have all the answers. 23, 24, 20, our 20s are learning ourselves. So if you end up graduating going, I do not know where I'm going, you're sitting where the majority of 20-plus-year-olds are. And a lot of them who end up getting postgraduate degrees end up hating their job or hating where they're at. And what is the value of that? Having the money but being depressed, or, you know, being honest and true in the moment and growing and developing yourself and getting to a place that does bring you capital for where your life's happiness resides. It's okay to not know. I had no clue, and you could not have told me I've been doing the things that I'm doing now as I jump into an entrepreneurial path. If I had been so closed-minded just to go to law school, I would not be doing the things that are challenging my mind in ways well beyond what any degree could have been. And the last thing is make a plan, but expect it to change. I am a Virgo. I am the most, plan-oriented person. But 2019, 2020, and now 2021 have shown me that the people who were with me when I graduated are not the people who are with me in 2021, and the plans that I had created are not the plans that I'm going into in 2021 at all. It's being okay to adapt, because you are adapting, you are evolving, you are changing, and do what feels right, but do what also leverages you to be able to do things that feel right. Y'all, I am putting you on tea and game with all of these tips, and so I am hoping that some of these things were good mindset shift or perspectives for you as you're entering into your senior year or your last semester of college or about to graduate. This is going to be an awesome journey. It's going to be hard. It's going to be scary, y'all. I can't sugarcoat that, but you have the resources, you have the tools, because you have yourself. Center yourself. I believe in you. I'm gonna be posting more videos like this for folks who wanna go down the more entrepreneurial path, or folks who are doing the most post-grad, or folks who just need to be boosted in that energy to know that you can do it. That's what my channel is about. Sharing my journey, sharing my failures, and my successes, because that's life. It's in its most honest form. So if you like this video, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you next time, y'all. We are on a road this month. It can be done, it's possible. 300 subscribers. I am posting, hopefully, another 7 videos this month. So I'm gonna be really working to build this community, this mogul community, because we are going to do something beautiful. We're gonna be honest, we're gonna share, we're going to be ourselves and grow into whatever a mogul is, defined on our own terms. And on that, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye.